Tajay Gale came to the fore in a big way as he mined silver for Jamaica in the long jump. We'll talk more about that. But what a statement performance that was from Bryan Levell as he moved through to the semi-finals of the 200 meters. Yeah, we'll talk about that too. All this on the Sports Club podcast here at the Jamaica Observer, powered by JN Bank. It starts right now. Hello and welcome to the Sports Club podcast here at the Jamaica Observer. I'm Donald Oliver and lots to get into. And we're going to be going straight into the discussion, starting with my good friend Leighton Levy right beside me as usual. And I'll tell you what, Tajay Gale, what about that performance today?
Leading until the penultimate jump. I mean, he came so close. I mean, listen,
so close.
It was so fascinating to see him compete today because I think this is the best series we've seen in a long time. Mm-hmm. And for him to come away with a silver medal is just fascinating. Absolutely. I mean, this is just, less than a year after he joined Kerry Lee Ricketts.
Right.
And he's already reaping the benefits of it. So really happy to see him walk away with a silver medal today.
Trishana McGowan is also here in studio. How are you doing, Trish?
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you very much.
Yeah. It was a good day. I think when you look at the field event athletes for the last 3 seasons, especially coming out of the pandemic, they have been not just getting to finals, they're really podium contenders, and that really warms my heart. Tajay Gale, very unassuming at times. And like I said, in previous episodes regarding the field events, sometimes the athletes will look out of it. But I think that one big jump, one big throw, it's sometimes all you need throughout that series. And that first jump with 8.33 meters, like I told you, sometimes you just need to separate yourself from the pack, make it very hard for them. And he was able to do that, like Leighton said, until the penultimate jump, which landed him in the silver medal position. But nothing to be, feel bad about, of course. He's on the podium, the best he has looked since winning that gold. Back in 2019.
Yeah. Daniel Blake is also here. This silver medal was typical.
Yeah, it was a very good series of jumps, and I think there's a part in the back of my mind and maybe his mind that he thinks that he should have gotten gold because even that first jump, he was 19 centimeters behind the board. So if you add that to the 833, he was in the 850s, and similar to his 834, I believe he was 11 or 12 centimeters behind. So it just goes to show how good of a form he was in. It's unfortunate that, he just missed out, but I think that he can be very pleased knowing that he's getting back to his best form. I know he got the bronze back in 2023, but we all knew that it was still a work in progress for him. But now working with Coach Ricketts, we see that he's a little bit more confident. His execution seems to be a lot better. And to me, this is just a sign of things to come.
Well, he was very wary of the fact that the 834 and the 833 were not going to be enough. He said it.
He did.
He said he was never comfortable. Because he said he kept mentioning Furlani, but he referred to him as the Italian. That he was wary of what was possible. Because that kid is extremely talented.
Yes.
And he thought that had he cleared 840, he would have won gold. And he was absolutely right.
Yeah.
When you look at even in the women's discus throw, for example, I think the Morales from Cuba, she got the bronze. But with the second place and Almond from the United States, who eventually went on to claim the gold medal, it's like with that throw, it's like, oh my God, will she get it? And again, that's the beauty of the field events. Like I said, you just never know with one jump or one throw remaining, it can really just go whoop, you're on the podium or you're off or you're reduced to a medal position.
Because if you go back to 2019, that's how Tajay won his gold. a big last jump to first of all get him into the final, and then eventually winning the gold medal. So yeah, but this is how the field events work, and it's one of the reasons why it's so exciting for me, which is also why the reason why I don't understand why people are not as engaged in the field events as they should be. Because it's fascinating because you have these opportunities, 5 or 6 opportunities, depending on how well you do. And anything can happen. And we've seen the drama of it, Tentoglu beating Wayne Pinnock just a couple of years ago with the final jump, his final jump of the competition. So, yeah, it's the drama, and I mean, the only unfortunate thing today is that Tajay Gale didn't end up on top of the podium.
Yeah.
Well, let's now join our man on location in Tokyo, Andre Lowe. Lowe, talk to me about that gold medal as I welcome you to the show. Tajay Gale was leading up until the final couple of jumps, and he had, of course, a couple of opportunities to retake the lead, but just wasn't enough in the end.
Yeah, Donna, what's up? What's up to everybody in the studio? Konnichiwa, welcome back to Tokyo. So yeah, another successful day for Jamaica here at the World Athletics Championships. Tajay Gale, Mr. Consistent, Mr. Always Present, right? Completing the full complement of medals. He now has a silver medal to add to his bronze medal from the last time out, and of course that gold medal he won in 2019. So Tajay has done well this season. Of course, had some injuries, missed quite a lot of competition. He missed the Rome Diamond League. I think he missed the London Diamond League as well, and of course couldn't even turn up for trials. And so really good for him to be able to come here and put together the kind of performance and series that he did here. Got business done early, 8.33 meters in the first round. Of course, the field kind of caught up back to him eventually. She from China, of course, Furlani. And I think Gale did very well to respond in the fourth round, producing an 8.34 to jump into second place. He said that really wanted to push a little harder, but he has this sore hamstring, of course, recovering from that grade 2 strain, and he just really couldn't get anything else out of his legs. But still very happy he was able to compete. He said, and I'm very proud of his efforts, and I think we can all be proud of Tajay.
Yeah, and it is a big medal for Tajay Gale, and he now completes the full set of having won gold in 2019 and the bronze in 2023, of course, in Budapest, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, big performance, especially against the context of all that has been going on with him this season, the hamstring problems, the concerns he had, even at this competition. He wasn't sure if he could push as hard as he wanted to, for fear of, hurting himself. And he has had history, of course, with suffering injury in major championships. So, very big result for him, showing his consistency. And let's not forget, too, that he's in a new program with Coach Kerry Ricketts. Just joined that group in October last year. And he spoke to me as well about the relationship that he has developed with Coach Ricketts. Someone he says who's very positive, very optimistic. He's able to extract the best out of him. And he's looking forward to, what they can continue to do together in the years to come.
Yeah, and we have to talk about Bryan Levell before you go, because he made a massive mark. Probably laid down the gauntlet is one thing you can say in the 200-meter heats. 19.84 seconds. How surprising was it for you looking on that he registered that time in the heats?
Certainly not surprised by the 19.84. I mean, after all, he has gone 19.6, but didn't expect to see 19.8 on the clock, just given the way he ran that race. It was very easy throughout. Probably ran 90 meters, or let's say 100, right? But to run with that much in reserve, as composed as he did, and still clock 19.8, it suggests that we're in for something really special from Lavell. At this rate, I would not be surprised if he runs 19.4, 19.3 even at these championships. He certainly will be pushed. There's a lot of good competition in this event. Benarek, Noah Laz, of course, Tibogo, and several others as well. So, a very good performance from him. He has certainly made a statement, and A lot of persons are right now talking about Bryan Levell, and we are certainly would not be unreasonable of us to expect something really special in the semifinals and certainly in the final.
Yeah, 19.84 seconds, of course, for Bryan Levell. I tell you what, looking forward to seeing what he does in the semis and hopefully the final. But Andre, again, thanks for the link up, and I'll see you around soon. All right?
Yeah, man. I mean, anytime, my boss. We'll talk tomorrow. Should be another interesting day. By the way, had a conversation with team manager Ian Forbes shortly after Tajay's silver medal performance. He is reporting that the energy in the camp is extremely high. The athletes, the camaraderie is very strong. Everybody's positive, and they're all happy with the way the team has started in terms of performance, but not just medals, but also personal best and season best coming from some of these athletes. And he's looking forward to continued success as we close out the remaining days at these championships. But yeah, always a pleasure, Donald. Big up everybody in the studio, and we'll talk tomorrow.
All right, Andre Lowe there, our man on location in Tokyo. Let's go back to what took place in the long jump, Leighton, because again, as I mentioned, completing now the full set, Tajay Gale. How does he rank as far as long jumpers in Jamaica's history?
Well, he's right there. I mean, James Beckford was a standard bearer for Jamaica with silver medals at the World Championships and the Olympic Games back in '96. But I think Tajay Gale now, I believe, would be probably in the pantheon of one, being an World Championship gold medalist, and he has a full set of medals now. And
so our greatest long jumper.
Yeah, I think there's an argument that you could make that he is now. I mean, 8:69 is the national record. He is consistently over 8 meters when he's healthy, and he's won a full set of global medals now. The only drawback in terms of his career is that he hasn't done that at the Olympic Games. And the reason why is because of those knee surgeries that he's done, or knee injuries that he's had. So I think in terms of his accomplishments, he's right there. I think that gold medal sets him apart from everybody else who's ever done the long jump for Jamaica, because he's the only one to have done it.
Greatest long jumper for Jamaica?
I'm not one I don't like the greatest, but if we're going to put in context of the World Championship, I think so, because when I like to speak to the coaches, they're the ones in it. Stephen Francis said in 2022, we love the World Championship, but the sport counts Olympic Games. And that's just the truth. You and I can sit here, and Daniel and Leighton, and we can debate all we want. The sport counts the Olympic Games. Yeah. They do not disregard the World Championships, don't get me wrong. But what they look to for the highest level is the Olympic Games. For me, I think he's now our greatest long jumper in terms of the World Championship performances that he has been able to produce. I think if he should get onto the podium at the Olympic Games, whatever medal he should get, I think now we can say that he's the greatest, only because I am going based on what the sport used to judge and put these athletes via rankings.
Yeah, but I hear that argument. But here's the thing. The World Championships are the pinnacle of athletics. The Olympic Games are the pinnacle of all sports. So I get it. But to me, they're on par, because the World Championships are the pinnacle of the sport. So while the Olympics carries that prestige in terms of the edge on the World Championships, he's at the top of the pinnacle of the sport itself, that particular category. So yeah, I agree that the Olympic silver medal that James Beckford won back in '96 does weigh heavily, but does it outweigh a gold medal at the World Championships? I'm not convinced that is the case.
I think performance matters, because, for example, if we were to use a sprint comparison, Elaine Thompson-Herah hasn't dominated the World Championships circuit, but she is a double Olympic champion, and she's regarded as one of the greatest. I think Tajay Gale getting that gold back in 2019 and doing it in 8:69, to me, I think it outweighs James Beckford's Olympic silver medals, and also the silver medals at the World Championships. And that's not to discredit anything that James Beckford has done. Right. But I think when it comes to the World Championships and the mere fact that he was able to get over that 8.6 meter barrier, I think that definitely puts him at the top. So anything else from here, to me, is just an addition to his greatness.
So you have him ahead of James Beckford, really?
Yeah, but here's the other thing as well. Wayne Pinnock has Olympic silver and World Championship silver. So he's obviously part of that.
But he's not Jamaican anymore, so there's
No, he is Jamaican
He's
until
Jamaican.
further notice.
He's
What
just-
if they decide that
Yeah.
World Athletics, they really do have the handle of this whole
Yeah,
thing?
because
you know?
I'm just
Wayne
playing
has
with my friend
been
Wayne.
Wayne is world indoor silver medalist, world championship silver medalist, and Olympic silver medalist. So you can argue that Wayne Pinnock
he
is a lot
is.
more consistent in terms of his performances,
Right.
and that Olympic silver then gives him probably the edge in terms of consistency. So yeah, you can argue, but I think the gold medal and national record, it puts Tajay in the conversation to be possibly Jamaica's best long jumper. Wayne Pinnock will eventually, probably history will eventually reveal, because looking back is always easier than looking forward right now.
Yeah.
But there's an argument that because Jamaica's long jumpers they've been rare, but they've been very good
Yes.
in between. You know,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
it's a good conversation to have, and I think you can debate it either way.
Yeah, I don't
But
think there's any wrong or
Yeah, I think the gold medal on the 869 puts Tajay for me just above everybody else.
I mean, again, like I said, I don't disagree with either of the gentlemen or anybody who would argue that he might be the greatest long jumper that we have, and also including Wayne Pinnock in the conversation. But for me, like I said, I'm going to go by what the sport goes by, and really and truly what the agents have to use and how these athletes' contracts are shaped. We can sit here, like I said, and have the discussion and have the debate. But when you have an Olympic champion and they have a world champion, and you look at the table, respectfully, they're going to choose the Olympic champion or the Olympic medalist versus, for example, if you were to go in based on a CV, and that's just the reality
From a prestige point of view, yes,
what
absolutely,
it is.
yes. But yeah.
But I do, again, I don't disagree, but going by the sport and how tough it is and the business of the sport, I think that if he should go on in 2028, all being well, without any major injuries, and get onto that podium, no matter the color, not just you and Diane, Leighton and Daniel will say, why the greatest Jamaican long jumper. The commentators, the world will view him as
Yes, yeah, that's true. Let's stay with the jumps and speak a little bit about Jordan Scott, who has advanced to the men's triple jump final. Wonderful performance from him, 17.19 meters as he topped Group B, Daniel.
He looked really good, and I take heart knowing that, even though we mentioned the Turkey situation, but to know that, we essentially lost a great triple jumper, at least for now, in Jaden Hibbert. To see Jordan come out here and put on that type of performance in the qualification, the second best in both groups, it was great, and he looks confident, and he's spoken confidently prior to the championships and during the training camp and everything. So I think this gives him a lot of motivation heading into the final. I do know that he has a tough task ahead of him with a lot of great competitors, but I think that he's in the mix. I don't think he will necessarily need to get to 17.7 or 17.8, especially with what we've seen in the long jump, where in the past you might have needed 8.5, 8.6. But I think if he's able to get a good series of jumps and gets into that 17.4, 17.5 range, I think we could be seeing another medal on the podium.
We keep on saying series of jumps, and I just want Trishana to put it in the context here, because isn't just one massive jump matters, or is it a matter of getting into rhythm? Because we saw the series of jumps from Tajay until he kind of faltered in the last two. But explain to me why the series of jumps would be important here.
So, perfect example, he jumped 8.33 meters. Prior to that, he did say what would he would likely need in order to maybe win, not just medal. Now, again, you can be, for example, using Tajay Gale, you can be going into a championship with your personal best of 8.33. For Tajay, it's 8.69 meters.
Right.
Now, if you are to go in and you know the competitors and the field, let's say, like he did, jumped 8.33 meters, and nobody else this morning, throughout their various series, including his, were able to go much further. He would have walked away with the gold medal.
Right.
So sometimes, like I said, with the field events, it's very tricky because at all times, every athlete want to hit their personal best or as
Right.
close to,
Right.
or the distance that's leading for the year. You know, the world lead in that particular event. But sometimes you just simply don't get there. So you want to give as close to your best, whether for the season's best or your personal best. To get into that. And it can be tough because remember, it's a number of attempts.
Right.
Yeah.
And you sometimes we spoke about it yesterday, despite sometimes making adjustments on the board, it doesn't always mean that you're going to go any further.
Right.
But you try.
And a strong series gives you an advantage on the countback as well because this morning, for example, she also jumped 8.33.
Right.
And then Tajay jumped 8.34. Had Furlani not jumped out to 8.39 to win, then on the countback, Tajay's series would be stronger, 8.34, 8.33. I think he had an 8.07 as well, which was stronger than she's series, which would have then given him the gold medal. So it's important to have a strong series because the countback, it might come down to the countback.
Yeah.
If it comes down to the comeback, you want to have that advantage of having a stronger series than your opponent.
Because how many attempts they have again?
They have six.
Six attempts.
And then
you go into
because the first three eliminates four people down to the last eight, and the last eight have three more jumps.
Right. So you want to make sure, like Leighton was stating, that if you have 6 attempts, you want to make sure at least 4 of those are greater than your competitors, just in case you should come down to a countback. Because you'll find that sometimes athletes throw similar distance or same distance, and if it should come down to that, you just want to put yourself there to be nipped for that medal.
Is there ever a thought, because of course with each jump you exert a little bit more energy, but is there ever a thought almost to front load the first set of jumps?
Yeah, because here's the thing. If you have a big jump early like Tajay had today, 8.33 to open, what it does is put the entire field under pressure. And then you generate mistakes because you hit a big mark early. And it goes for the throws as well. Where you hit a big mark early, all of a sudden the guys who like to build into a series feel the pressure of that performance. And then it triggers mistakes because then you're probably pressing too much or you're just feeling the pressure of the expectation to beat that mark. And then it gives you a significant advantage hitting that mark early. Julian Robinson, who coaches Frederick Dakers and others, Travis Michael, always encourages them to hit a big mark early when they're throwing because it puts the rest of the field under pressure. So, for example, let's say when the discus comes up, when is it, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow? Let's say Ralford Mullings opens up with a throw of 69 meters. No matter who is in that field, Alekna or Che or Stahl or
Pressure.
The pressure mounts because then they have to step to the plate and respond. So the pressure mounts early because you put them under pressure by putting up a big performance early.
So talk to me now about Jordan Scott's chances.
Well, based on the conversation that he had with us after he competed this morning, he's pretty confident. As you know, he missed out of the Diamond League final because he said he was working on some stuff to prepare for the World Championships. He confidently stated this morning that he feels ready to win. So let's see how that translates when he gets into the final. Because the field is talented. Picardo, Hernandez, Tricky. There are a lot of big guys out there who are capable of jumping 17.5 or more. We've seen Picardo come close to 18. Well, he's gone over 18 meters, as well as Hernandez as well. So if they come with their A game, he's going to have to step up big time. But if he gets anything over 17.5, I think he'll be in the mix for the medals.
Well, let's go to the 200 meters now, and I'm going to get Daniel involved in what should be an interesting discussion. Started off here with the clocking by Bryan Levell, who looked ridiculously easy in his heat. 19.84 seconds. Like, I mean, how do you describe that performance from him? And was it a bit of a surprise for you at the time?
I don't think I can find the words to describe it simply because of how easy he looked. Knowing that this was the heats, to have a 100-meter split of 10.17 and then to basically stop running with 50 meters to go.
More than 50 meters.
Probably 70 or 80 maybe.
No, I'm serious.
But he just looked so relaxed. He looked so comfortable. His form was incredible. And he literally walked over the line. And to see 19.8 on the clock, I'm a little frightened as to what he's going to do going forward, because I think that we know of his potential. We obviously know that Noah Lyles, Tebogo, and so forth are the favorites. But seeing that performance, I think it definitely gives him confidence, and it gives the rest of the pack something to think about, because he looks incredible.
It shook the stadium. It shook the stadium, and it shook Jamaicans. I mean, of course, we knew that he was talented even from the high school level. Obviously, a big guy, and you're saying that, you can work with him. We can more than work with him.
You know what? I'm not surprised as everybody else. I think, since last year, I think that was his first full season under the coach, Shericka Osborne, our lone Jamaican woman.
Oh, we're going to talk about her as well.
Professional coach. And let me start by saying that when he made the decision after leaving Edwin Allen to join up with Shericka Osborne, many coaches locally and overseas were completely disappointed. Very good academically, could have gone overseas to school as well, but he opted to train with her, trusting her to guide him. And under her guidance for that first season, he ran sub 10.
19.9.
And rode sub 20 as well. So he has run personal best for the first season. Been to a couple of the training sessions, watched him alongside her. Very strict coach, remind me of, the Stephen Francis, who guided her. Well, not so much as guided her, but she was there, at the MVP, understudy at MVP Track Club. So I'm not completely surprised. I'm just really happy that everything that they've been working for is coming together, and no major injuries to give a setback and derail the plan which they have set out for. He is way ahead of what they projected. Coming from high school to matriculating into a senior athlete. And when you looked at how he started this morning, quickly out of the blocks on the shoulders of the two athletes in front of him. And that was it. That's all he did.
Leighton, you always provide context to this run, you bring that gravitas to the run of Bryan Levell. Can you do that for me now? Because again, it was a little bit surprising when the clock stopped at 1984.
Look, we saw him run 19.7 at a Racers Grand Prix, slightly winded at 2.5 meters per second. Then we saw him drop 19.69, which makes him the fastest Jamaican we've seen since Usain Bolt and Johan Blake. And this morning, he comes out. I mean, he's obviously bigger and stronger this year.
Yes, he is.
He's added some muscle. So he's a lot stronger. And to see him cover the first 100 like Bolt did in 2009 in Berlin, covered the lanes in front of him in the first few strides. And then what he said to us afterwards, he said he stopped running at the top of the curve.
He did. The minute he got off the shoulders of those in front of him,
he stopped. These are his words, He said the only thing he was doing down the stretch is lifting his knees. He stopped running after the curve and then ran, and then at the last 20 meters tried to break up and literally stop moving. It was just sheer momentum carrying us to line 19.84. This guy looks like he's ready to run 19.5 or faster. And when you compare the efforts of Kenny Bednarek and Noah Lyles, the defending champion, they worked a little bit harder than he did. And given the fact that he's fresher,
yes,
and of course, Tebogo looked really good too, to be honest.
Yes, he did.
But you have to believe that if he can replicate this performance in a final, assuming that he gets to the final after the semifinals tomorrow, then you think that not only will he be on the podium, but he has a really good shot at winning it. That's how good he looked today. I'm not saying he's going to go and win it. No, I'm not predicting anything.
No,
what I'm saying is that if you base his performance on what you saw today and the ease at which he ran at 19.84, given the fact that Nola is the Olympic was one at 19.46 last year, Tebogo, if he goes into the final and lets the Jets loose, as Noah Lyles in response to him saying that, he's going to have to put on the Jets now, and because he's in his head. I'm sure he's in his head now.
course.
So if he goes into the semifinal and runs with similar ease to qualify, because based on what we saw today, it should not take a much greater effort to qualify for the finals. And then unleashes in the final. I think he has a very good shot of winning the gold medal.
Daniel, what do you know of him in terms of him now being under pressure? Because there may be a little bit of pressure now with this level of expectation at these World Championships. How do you think he could respond in the semis and maybe the final?
I think, obviously, with it being his first major championships like that in terms of his overall form and his expectations, it could be a little nerve-wracking. But I think this is why this performance was so pleasantly surprising, because I think that this was a way to not only boost his own confidence, but also warn the field that, hey, I'm here. So I think if he continues to take that mentality, goes into that semifinals and runs, he can run the exact same way and qualify, then I think he goes into that final thinking that I can finish top of the podium. I think the only other athlete that looked as comfortable as him was the Olympic champion, Tebogo, who was joking across the line in the last 30, 40 meters. I think because of what has happened this season, I think Noah Lyles knows that he's going to have to find another gear, which is strange to say because he has been proving to be the most consistent in the field. But I think now he's going to start overthinking. And I think this is where Lavell has that advantage in that, there are no real expectations from him prior.
Yeah.
So now he just goes in, runs his race, and I think he could get that gold.
Yeah, look, nobody's expecting Bryan Levell to come and win gold. Okay, he's a no-name right now.
Right.
Nobody cares who he is. Everybody's talking about Kenny Bednarek, Noah Lyles, and Tebogo, because they were the guys who clashed at the Olympic finals last year. They would have seen this performance from Bryan Levell and say, okay, here's a newcomer. But in terms of expectations, I think, I know based on how I understand how Shericka thinks, she probably said to him right now, okay, cool, ran well, executed well. That's behind you. Let's focus on the semifinals, what you need to do to qualify. This is what you need to do to qualify. This is the heat that you're in. This is who you're looking to beat. You don't need to beat everybody. You just need to get into the final. So he probably comes out and Robbie runs another 19.8 or 19.9 if necessary, and then gets into the final, because it doesn't matter which lane he's running from.
She's very strategic.
Right? So she's guiding him in a very specific way that will control any anxiety that he might have. She will be able to control that by just bringing him the reality of what he faces next. And this is what needs to be done. And then we're taking it one step at a time. He said that much today. That is one step at a time, one race at a time. And once he has that approach, I don't think the pressure affects him at all. I think if he goes into the final thinking, oh God, Noah Lyles is there and everybody, maybe. But he knows right now that he's the third fastest man in the world this year, 19.69. The two guys who are faster than him are not that much faster, 19.63 and 19.67.
And do you expect them to be faster than those times?
Of course. Look, Noah Lyles is Noah Lyles, and he's consistently fast in finals. But one of the things I do know for a fact is not Noah Lyles in 2025 is not the same Noah Lyles as 2024.
Right.
He's not as fast. We've seen that in the 100, 9.89.
So definitely no 19.4 from him.
I don't see it. Right?
It's hard to
Tebogo himself
decide.
has admitted that he's not in the same shape as he was last year because he's had challenges. Kenny Bednarek probably can say, I'm in great shape. I run 1979 since season and I run 1967 since season. But I haven't seen anything from all three that tells me that they are better than Bryan Levell. So I think as of this moment, he is more in their head than they are in his. And that makes him dangerous.
I think, we usually, back then when Usain, for example, went and he won the World Championships 2 years ago. He came back and he won breaking records, running championship records. I think we Jamaicans and the world thought, this is easy. Leslie Tobago last season won the Olympic Games 200 meters, struggled at top of the season. I think he has run himself into form. I'm not going to say he intentionally fast started in the men's 100 meters.
No.
But just saying, as he looks to the 200 meters, Noah Lyles, similar, he's a champ. Give him credit. He looks forward to the competition.
Yes.
He savors it.
Yes.
What he will do on the day is a completely different story. But this is something like, a Jamaican ran 19.84. That easy? Yeah, who is he? And he start doing his check. It's just the truth. And, he will come out from the semifinals and he will say something. Because that's how he is. It gets the crowd going. He looks forward to it.
Well, speaking of saying something, we spoke with Christopher Taylor a little bit earlier today as he was preparing to run the 200-meter heats. And he said that he got some words of advice from the Americans before the race. Let's take a listen to that clip.
I mean, I was elated. That was the plan to come out here today and earn a personal best to make it to the next round. And then I go from there, and that's what I'm doing right now.
A pretty stacked heat. That certainly would have helped to push you to that time as well. What were your thoughts when you saw the lane draw?
I mean, when I saw the lane draw, I was mind-blown because I have 4 guys that have been making the 200 finals in one heat with me, I went in there with the 7th fastest time. So I knew that I had to dig deep, like I always do when I come to a championship. And I did just that and came out with a big Q to go to the next round.
At the end of the race, I see you being congratulated by Noah Lyles. What did he say to you?
And DeGrasse as well.
I mean, they're saying welcome to the 200. I was a bit nervous. They could have seen it. They were talking to me in the car room saying, just relax, have some water. Noah was telling me to just drop the shoulder, head up and take deep breaths. So, when they came out and said that I actually qualified, they said, welcome to the 200 and all the best for the next round.
Yeah, let's talk about Christopher Taylor because it's such a remarkable story for him. I was just glad to see him competing again.
Most Jamaicans, I went through, scouting through social media, and I think once it was announced, top of the year that he would have been making his return, everybody got excited and automatically, we're going to make the team. I didn't doubt that, based on the event that he chose to do. Really wished he was in the 400, but I understand why he isn't. And it's just truly a testament to, you buck your toe, you have to get back up and keep going. And he's doing just that in the true Jamaican fashion. A personal best this morning, and I think he said in also a post-race interview, DeGrasse, and I think Noah said, welcome to the 200 meters. Yeah. But before he went out, he was just stating that when he looked at his lineup, he was like, what kind of heat this? I'm drawn in with Olympic and world champion in the 200 meters. But he was able to, in true Christopher Taylor fashion, went out, he performed, handled business, and he's into the semifinals with a personal best.
And he said he was rusty. So, because he hadn't raced Noel as well.
Right.
Yeah.
But he did work hard. But he got better than Andre DeGrasse, which is significant. And I think, look, any expectations of Christopher Taylor right now is about just progress over perfection. He's back after a 2-year ban. He probably needs a little bit more strength.
Right.
And he needs some more mechanical work. It's going to be a process. So for him, I think the first step is having a PB.
Yeah.
I think if he doesn't advance any further, I think he will come away from these championships understanding that, hey, I made some progress here. So next year is going to be a better year. And so on and so on and so forth, and build towards his next goal. But I thought he looked pretty solid today without being extraordinary. But I think it's something to build on going forward.
Some more expectation on Adrian Kerr, you feel? 20.13 seconds, finishing second in his heat, Daniel?
I thought he looked solid. We don't view him as a medal contender. As you know, it took him a little time to get to the qualifying standard. But to finish behind Makarau and Lindsay, who both went sub 20, I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of. His first major championship, just at boys champs just a few years ago, and now he's on the world stage with some of the best. So I think that he will be eyeing a personal best, probably trying to get sub 20. But I think he can take a lot of confidence that despite the field and despite the times run, that he was right in the thick of it.
He when you look at him as well, he went overseas when he left Kingston College.
Right.
And he returned, and I think he was training with, I call him Doc. He coached newbie before.
Yeah.
And clearly assessed things and realized, all right, based on my potential since being at Kingston College, this isn't working. He left and he has joined Dynamic Track Club being led by Michael Frater, the same club as Akeem Blake.
Dynamic speed. Okay.
Yeah, Dynamic Speed. And I think when you look at the progress that he has made since then to even, be on the team, getting the qualification time to be a part of the World Championship team. I agree with Daniel. We just saw him a few years ago representing Kingston College. And he said, I think in the post-race interview that, about not being nervous because he said the Kingston College fans are very hard to please.
Yeah.
So this means nothing. And
I never we said so here.
I never we said it, he said
we
it.
said so, Casey
But
fans.
when you look at, for me, in closing regarding the 200 meters on my side, when you look at it a couple seasons ago, we were struggling to have 3 men, even 2 men.
Yeah.
Andrew Hudson was the lone competitor at one time. He was joined by Rashid Douai, who is now retired. Then, Johan Blake was also a huge flag bearer for the event.
Right.
And to have 3 men, 3 young men,
Yeah.
Christopher Taylor is still not even 27 years old as yet, to have 3 young men running personal best times and looking good, advancing to the semifinals, that's a win for us today.
Is Bryan Levell 21 yet?
I think depending on when was his birthday. I don't remember when the young boy born.
So he'll be 22 this year, if anything.
I'm trying to remember if he's even, because he left, I don't know, 2 seasons
well, we live
ago?
in modern day technology. I will check while we have the
Yeah,
discussion.
but
Yeah, he's 21.
He's 21,
Oh,
so
22
he's
this year.
very young.
22. Which month?
December.
If you remember, Bolt won his first world title when he was just about 22, just before his 22nd birthday.
Right.
So Bryan Levell is on a similar trajectory right now in terms of what he's been able to do. Of course, Bolt was a 19.3 guy back then, but who knows? Depending on what happens in this final, Bryan Levell could also be a 19.3 sprinter this year as well. It might be a stretch,
Dare to dream, lady.
but we dare to dream.
Dare
Huh?
to
Yeah,
dream.
but when you look at it, and I agree, the time, the performances, like I said, the man them really open up. The men are having a good championship.
Yeah, they have 5 of the 6
Yeah.
medals so far.
Yeah, they're really doing it.
So let's talk about the women and the 200 meters in particular with Shericka Jackson and Ashanti Moore actually going through to the semis. Trishana.
Yeah, you know what? I said it regarding Shericka. When I saw her in the heats and the semifinals of the women's 100 meters, barely missing the podium, finishing 4th. And when you have to work yourself through injuries and get back, I think Glenn Mills spoke about it regarding oblique Seville.
Right.
He said that the mental fortitude it takes for an athlete to, people think, oh, the injuries behind them, the rest are going to come and run. It's never that easy. They have to work through that. Will it happen again? Will it happen at the moment where I feel my best? And then you feel like your body has deceived you. And I think when I looked at her on the outside this morning, still looking confident as best as possible, barring everything that she would have to deal with to get here. As the defending champion, she's not going to go out without a fight. Do I see her getting onto the podium? I think she's capable of getting onto the podium. I'm not sure if it will be the gold medal, but for her, I think with everything that she would have gone through, she will maybe take whichever medal, but the first mission is to get there. And I think that she looked comfortable on the outside this morning, not doing too much, doing enough to make sure that she's into that semifinals.
It looks tough though because Anavia Battle looks really, really good. And Brittany Brown looks really, really good. She's going to have to fight for that medal. But if anybody can, it will be Shericka Jackson. That 21-41 memory doesn't go away like that.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So even if she's not at her best now, I think she can probably find something good enough to hold off the rest of the pack and get onto that podium.
Daniel?
Yeah, I think her being in lane 8 might not have been as confident, inspiring to us as fans because we saw what Jefferson Wooden did and she looked very, very comfortable. But I think that Shericka looked like she wasn't trying, in my opinion. And then to run the third fastest time in the heats was pretty good. So I think, especially after running 10.88 in the 100, I think she ends up taking that confidence. And as Shoshana mentioned, I think it's just more about the mental side for her. She's obviously been disappointed not getting on the podium in the 100. She still hasn't spoken to the media, which shows that she is still a little hurt or disappointed by not just what has happened.
She has been hurt and disappointed for a while, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's not just about what happened here, but also last year in Paris. So I think that she doesn't want to speak too soon or anything like that. So I think she is sort of saving herself for that final. Now, whether she gets the better of Jefferson Wooden is going to be very tough, seeing her form. Anna Battle looking good. But I definitely think that she's primed for that podium, especially knowing that there's no Julian Alfred. So she should take confidence in that.
And what about Ashanti Moore? How does she look to
Well,
you?
she sounds confident. She ran well. She eased up late in the race and qualified, finishing second. But she is exuding a level of confidence right now that you have to believe that she feels like she's in the mix. And if she feels like she's in the mix, she definitely will be.
In the mix for a medal?
Yeah. She said this morning after the race that she feels like she's going to, well, she said she's going to win. But
win what? The semifinal?
Yeah, I don't know. The thing about it is, the fact is that she's confident. And she's run 10.94. She's run 22.31. And based on all the information I've got on her, she is in great shape. And we know what potential she possesses.
Mm-hmm.
So given how closely the field is, because when you look at the outside of Melissa Jefferson and probably no Anivia Battle, everybody else is somewhere between 21-14 and 22-14, 22-14 and 22-31.
Right.
Which is where Ashanti is. So on a given day, depending on execution, depending on how well they feel, any one of maybe 4 or 5 women will be in the mix for a medal, assuming they get to the final. Because I'm thinking that the semifinals are going to chop off some of those 22-1 people, and some of them will get to the final. But of those who will get into the final, you're thinking that any number could play, depending on who comes out ready to perform on the day. That's how close it is.
I don't see her hitting the podium, but I can see her getting into the final. I think that, since our national championships, she has, put in some work clearly and running well. The bobsled has also helped her as a driver. When you look at, it has helped her. The power that she has generated this season in comparison to last. She doesn't even start like she did last year and previous season since, we leaving Heidel. And the push that she has out of the blocks and how she accelerates once she gets out of that drive phase is similar to how when you look at when they're pushing the bobsled and then they have to up in. And I think that it has really helped her. Happy to see that, she has found her groove. It's important that our athletes get into that moment. And I think finding her groove just might get her into the final. Again, I'm not sure if it will land her on the podium, but I can see her being a finalist for us.
But one of the things is clear that she's very confident right now. And that's always key. Because if, as I said before, if you believe that you can do it and your body is ready to do it, it probably will happen. And I think based on what we saw this morning, it was 22.5, I think she ran this morning. And she was pretty comfortable as well. It suggests that she's probably ready to go a lot faster.
And she seems to be having fun.
Yeah.
Relearning and, when you start getting the results. That's like I told you, a little taste of success goes a very far way in sports. And I think she has received some of that. I think, a little bit has now trickled down to Gabrielle Matthews, still very young, missed out on advancing. But good to see the youngsters coming through. We as Jamaicans sometimes become so hung up on our athletes who have served us so well over the years, and we find it hard to let go of them. But in order for us to grow as a nation, like I said, for the men, for example, none of those men have passed 27 years old as yet, or 28, and they're through to the semifinals. And I'm happy to see that we have 2 young women joining Shericka Jackson, who is 31 years old. Yeah,
well, and then there's other point on Gabrielle Matthews. I mean, when we look at the NCAA athletes, most of them are gone already.
Yeah.
And they are faded badly. I mean, you look at Jacoby Thorpe in the hurdles. He was NCAA champion. He flamed out in the final. Gabrielle Matthews has had a long season. and Alia Butler, who won the NCAA 400 meters, she didn't make the final. No, she's not in the final.
No, she isn't.
You're seeing all of them gradually fade out because I think the fatigue factor of competing for almost 10 months in a row has taken its toll.
Let's talk about Cheyenne Salmon. Danielle, she's through to the 400-meter hurdles final. She clocked 54.03 seconds, which was a season's best for her. How did she look to you?
She looked very good, and I think what helped her was that she was directly beside Anna Cockrell. So from the very get-go, she just stuck with her. She knew that Cockrell was going to win this race. So she was able to pace herself well. I thought for the first 200 meters, she did extremely well. And then doing that last 150, she just kept her composure, and she was there, as I said, just with Anna Cockrell on the way. So I think that this was a very solid performance, especially with it being a season's best. It shows that she can get under that 54-second mark. We definitely know that it's going to be very tough to get on that podium, but I think that she now goes in thinking that if she's able to execute something similar and follow the field around her, then anything is possible.
You know, Trish, I think a lot of us view track and field incorrectly at times because we see the season's best now and we're saying, all right, you just need to better that the very next day or whenever in the final. And then when they don't do that, we're saying, oh, goodness, disappointment. It's a wrong way to view it, isn't it?
I mean, you know what? I don't think there is any wrong way. You view things how you view it. I view it how I view it. We all have different outlook on things. But what I will say, though, the common factor should be, one, we want the athlete to do well and we want the athlete to be healthy. Those are the two things. So how you want to view the PB, the season's best, is entirely up to you
and when they run
your
it.
perception and when they do compete that for that time. Cheyenne, I think, she's no stranger to getting into a final. And remember, when Rochelle Clayton won her first bronze medal, nobody saw it coming.
Yeah.
She ran that race almost to perfection. She was caught and beaten into that third position. Now for Cheyenne Salmon, when you look at the field, of course we know, some of the top medal contenders. But I think that with the barriers, it's different from the sprint hurdles. But I think if she can execute her race close to her best performance that she has in her at this moment, right? Considering everything she would have gone through this season. Maurice Wilson, I'm sure, and Jermaine Hamilton, who has guided her back from Sprint Tech, will be able to get her to maybe surprise us and get onto the podium. It's very tough. I'm not saying she will. I'm just saying it's not impossible. Because several times we have seen it happen. Ristanana Tracy surprised us with that bronze medal. Rochelle Clayton twice when she got that bronze medal. Maybe from getting it the first time, people say, oh, she will get it another time. So they factored her. But based on how she was running going into the championship, you maybe thought she would have been off the podium. So I think it's just a matter of putting together a good race. We'll get her there.
I think the podium is beyond her. Primarily because she's had a lot of injury issues this year that she's had to contend with. Remember last year, she was a consistent 53 runner last year and peaked out at 52.97 in Rome. This season, the 54 that she ran today was a season's best, which is nowhere close to where she needs to be. And for her to get there for a final, I think is a bridge too far for her. When you look at Woodruff, you look at Anna Cockrell, you look at Femke Ball, you look at Dalila Mohammed. I think for her, if she gets to 53, I think that it would be a success for her this season, given the challenges that she's had physically. But I think the podium is a little bit beyond her.
I think getting to the final for her is already a win.
Yeah,
I think she achieved more than maybe what she
Yeah.
expected coming in because of the number of injuries. We saw her at a couple of meets this season and she looked good, but then the injuries, I think, really knocked the wind out of her, similar to Rashawn Clark and Malik James King.
Yeah, speaking of them, they didn't advance.
Yeah,
to
the injuries really
final.
set them back. Similar to Rochelle Clayton, right here in Jamaica in April when she was a part of the Grand Slam. We saw her, about to run the hurdles and she got injured. Tried to make her come back. She thought she did. But again, that's sometimes why what Glenn Mills said about, which Leighton said, leads to the performance anxiety a lot of times for the athletes. Some handle it a little better than others, but it's tough. It's a mental barrier that you have to get over. We saw it even with Megan Tapper, that Jamaicans, we love her so much. The injury that kept her out last season, it's now the injury that she looked so spectacular leading up to the championship, and it has ruled her out. So I think it's similar with the men as well.
Yeah, and not to oversimplify it, but if you aren't running 47s on a consistent basis, you aren't going to make it.
Not anymore.
And I think that obviously the injury set back Rashawn Clark. Every time he's got back into competition this year, he was injured again. Malik James King was on the verge of getting sub 48. But seeing what the competition has been doing, if you aren't going 47-8 and 47-7 at least,
47-4,
you're just not going to make it. So I think that what they need to do now is just try to recover as best as possible. Try to use next year as a preparation year for 2027 and beyond, and try to get into that 47 and possibly even 46 barrier, because that is where the elite are. So you just need to just go back to the training and try to do that.
I think Malik coming away with 47-0 this year is a sign of success, because he's had a lot of injury issues this season. For Rashawn, he had that big injury in Florida.
Yeah.
And when I spoke to Akil Stewart earlier this year, there's a lot of confidence that this probably could have been the best season for him in terms of performance. It hasn't turned out that way because the path back from the injury hasn't been as smooth as they would have liked.
Right.
And I think we saw that the impact it has had on both of them this season. But I think, look, they've been consistent at 48 this season, so they're not too far behind now. So I think probably it's a platform on which they can propel into next year, which is a non-championship year, to then build on, first of all, staying healthy, and then building on improving their times going forward to 2027.
And I think as well, we have to give some amount of grace again to the athletes and coaches. Let me tell you why. Since the pandemic, or before the pandemic, for example, in 2020, the athletes have been going. So the body has not gotten the time to rest, because then where there should have been a break.
It's 5 championships.
It's 5 championships
yes.
back to back. There's been absolutely no break. And when you look at the athletes who have had their success, it's not that they haven't been injured. Some maybe have gotten injured maybe before and they were able to work their way back. But it's a lot. It has taken a toll on the body. And I'm hoping now, the non-championship year, again, it's a Commonwealth year. Some will go, some maybe won't, but they'll use that time, I'm hoping. Whether surgery needs to be done, proper rest, physiotherapy, the mental work, a lot of things need to be done, because 5 years of major championship, the weight of the nation resting on you having pressure of wanting to do well, it really, really is a lot. And like I said, to have no break since coming out of the pandemic has been really tough, and it is now showing through the bodies, and the late start to the season for some, and the injuries that are coming on and not going away even when you think that it has disappeared.
When you have to be at your very best for 5 years in a row for a track and field athletes, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult, because prior you'd have an off year in between where you can work on stuff, you can, as Richard said, recover, treat with things that you need to fix. But you don't have that opportunity. For the last 5 years, they haven't had that opportunity at all.
So Daniel, I'll leave you with the final word. Today was a good day. We got the silver. What are your thoughts on Jamaica's performances at these Worlds so far?
I think that everyone should be happy. I know that, we might not have had the gold medals that maybe some people thought that they would have. I guess only in the women's 100. Yeah. But again, to have a silver medalist in the long jump, to have 2 men in the 110 meter hurdles, a 1-2 in the men's 100, and to have
2-3,
and to have prospects as well in the triple jump, in the relays to come. I think we should be happy with our performance, and I think that this is also a good sign of what our future looks like, because a lot of our athletes are still very young and still very experienced. Even as we talk about Bryan Levell, if we think about his future, still 21, it just bodes well for our program and just shows how good our talent pool is. And with patience, we're only going to get better.
Yep. Thanks, Daniel. Well, that's all the time we have for the Sports Club podcast here at the Jamaica Observer. And guys, another stirring discussion, and we're looking ahead to the upcoming days at these World Championships. I'm sure Leighton, Trish, Daniel, thank you so very much. And I'm sure we'll be back here same time, same place tomorrow to do it all over again for you. On behalf of the hardworking production team, I'm Donald Oliver signing out for the final time.